This is the 2021 Ford Escape Hybrid Titanium, and I'm excited to be sharing this vehicle with you today for a few reasons. It's the titanium trim level, so the highest available trim level on this vehicle. And it's also got not only a reverse sensing system, but a forward sensing system that's going to come standard inside of this vehicle as well. Steve here, Cars with Steve, and I want to give Formula Ford a huge shout out and a thank you for giving me access to this vehicle to shoot the video today. Check down in the description below in order to find their contact details. Before we get started, I want to give you a huge shout out and a thank you for helping to support the channel as well. If you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, think about sharing it with your social networks, but let's dive into it and see what the new 2021 Hybrid has to offer. Now, taking a peek under the hood of the vehicle. So the 2021 Ford Escape Hybrid, you can technically get it as a plug-in or a standard hybrid. When it comes to the standard hybrid, like what we're looking at, it's powered by a 2.5 liter Atkinson engine. From a power perspective, it's going to be able to push out 200 horsepower and 155 pound-feet of torque. Now, looking under the hood, we've got easy access to a few things, so we can easily top up or check some fluids if we need to. We've also got the easy access in order to either check or change our oil underneath there. And just very, very nice and very simple setup underneath the hood of this thing. Now, standard technology inside of the Escape Titanium. So a few things are going to come standard. We've got our backup camera. We've also got the reverse sensing system inside of this thing. Now, on top of that, it's got the blind spot system, and it's also got a lane keeping system. But on top of that, one thing that makes the Escape unique is that we also do have that forward sensing system. Now, that's strictly going to be available on the titanium trim level, which is what we're looking at here. And taking a peek at the key fob of the vehicle. So along the very top there, we've got our unlock button, our lock button, remote start, our trunk release, as well as our horn or panic alarm button. Along the very bottom there, we also do have an emergency access key. So if for whatever reason the key fob has died or the car has died and we need to give it a jump, that's where we're going to go in order to be able to unlock the front door. Now, remote starting the vehicle, we can either remote start directly on the key fob. We can also use the Ford Pass app on our phones, whether it's an iPhone or an Android device, in order to remote start that way. Now, when it comes to remote starting on the key fob, we're just going to press the lock button once and that circle button twice. As you can see there, the car actually is started. Now, we are electric, which is why we don't have anything going on now. In order to cancel the remote start, we're just going to press that circle button once. And the remote start is now canceled. Now, looking at the titanium trim level of the vehicle, its power, we also have the ability to use this switch underneath. We can use the key fob, but the beautiful thing about the titanium is that it also is a foot-activated liftgate. So if you have a handful of groceries, kids, whatever the case may be, all you're gonna do is just swipe your foot underneath and stand back. Look at that. Power foot-activated liftgate, incredible. Let's have a bit of a peek in the back. Now, taking a peek at the cargo dimensions of the vehicle. So as you can see there, we do have a 60-40 split, so 60% on the left side, 40% on the right side. So we've got the ability to fold down each seat individually if we need to, but we've got quite a little bit of width and quite a little bit of depth as a default. All right, now take a peek and see how that compares when we've got that second row folded down. So we'll have a little bit more depth inside of the vehicle. Now, one of the nice things about the Escape is that that second row is also adjustable. So we can move the seat forwards or backwards a little bit more if we need to create a bit more space without having to fold the seats down. Now, from a towing perspective, if you're going to be towing inside of the vehicle, there is the tow package option available directly from the factory. Now, it just sits nicely inside of it. It's cut out really, really well inside of the bumper, so whether you go from the factory or not is your choice. But when we get the tow package from the factory, we're not only getting the receiver, the 4 7-pin wiring harnesses, our towing capacity is going to be about 1,500 pounds when we go for the factory option. And that's going to be the same regardless of if we're looking at the titanium or any of the other trim levels. Now, taking a look at the back here, as we can see, we do have our 12-volt adapter, so traditional cigarette lighter adapter, and this is going to be the standard back for the trunk there. So we do have the option for a thermoplastic rubber tray instead, and we can also lift this up. As you can see there, we've got our mini spare tire. We've got a little bit of storage space along both sides as well. Along the left side, we've got a jag, and we've also got our little spigot. So if we ever need to use a jerry can to fill up the tank, we'd be able to do that there. We can just push that back down and lock it back into place. Now, in order to be able to fill up in gas in this thing, it is a very straightforward process, but in order to do it inside of the hybrids, we've actually got a locking gas cap. So what we need to do first and foremost is actually go in just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel there. We've got a button. So we're just going to press that button in order to be able to open up that gas cap. As you can see there, it's now opened up for us. Now, when it comes down to fuel quality, just your regular 87 octane, so regular gas is what you need to use inside of this vehicle. But very straightforward, it's a capless system, so all we're gonna do, just insert your fuel hose, fill up, and once you're done, you're just gonna click, lock it back into place, and you're set to go. Now looking at the titanium trim level of the vehicle, so this is a true leather seat. It is in the ebony, like what we saw in the SEL, and it looks really, really sharp. So true leather seat inside of the titanium versus the SEL, which is pleather, versus the SE, which is going to be cloth. Size-wise, exact same as what we saw in the other two vehicles. We've got the ability to move the seat forwards or backwards as necessary, and then we can also recline this back row if we really want to. Now, one thing to note, this specific one does have this twin panel sunroof. So when we look at the sunroof as an option, my headspace drops down to about 1.5 inches, maybe, inside of this one. So you do lose about 1 inch or so of headspace when you get the sunroof. So definitely something to consider if you've got some taller kids. You might need to look at one that's got that larger roof instead. As you can see there along the passenger side, we do have a pocket for the back. We do not have one on the driver's side in the titanium either. As we start to move down, so very similar to what we saw in the SE as well as the SEL, we do have a few USB ports, so our USB as well as our USB-C. Now looking on the back seat as well, very similar to the SEL trim level, we do have a few cup holders in the back there. We can just lift that up in order to lock it back into place. And along both the driver and the passenger door, we also do have a few cup holders. So cup holders along both sides. Looking along the driver's side door, so as you can see there, we do have a series of different buttons there, so we've got easy access to get inside of the vehicle if we don't have the key fob on us. So that's nice. There is a 5-digit factory number that is going to come standard, but you've got the ability to program in your own if you'd like to. Now we also do have the ability to just press the bottom buttons there if we ever need to lock the door, so that's one of the great things about that system. Now as we open this up, as we look along the driver's side door, so few things that we're going to notice that are different inside of the titanium trim level. We've got our unlock and our lock buttons, but we've also got seat memory buttons. So seat memory buttons are great because it's going to remember not only our driver's seat settings, but also our side view mirror settings, and we've got 3 individual profiles there. Moving down, we've got the ability to kill off power to those rear windows, adjust our side view mirrors, and then we've got some auto up and downs for our windows. Moving down, we also do have an upgraded 10-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system inside of the 2021 titanium. Looking just to the left-hand side of the steering wheel, so we've got the ability to open up our gas cap, we've got the ability to open up our foot-activated liftgate, so we can open and close it from the inside, selector switches to figure out what's going on with our running lamps, and very similar, what I recommend, honestly, just keep these 2 settings into account, so either the off setting along the top, or the auto setting there. Reason why I say to stay on the auto setting is because it's automatically going to flip us between our daytime or our nighttime running lamps, depending on how bright it is outside. We've got the ability to turn our fog lamps on or off, and we've got the ability to adjust the brightness on that instrument cluster screen in the middle there. Adjusting the driver's seat inside of the Escape Titanium Hybrid is a very straightforward process, and it is power, not only for the driver's seat, but also for the passenger seat. Just to the left-hand side, we've got a series of levers. First one is going to bring the seat forwards or backwards. We can lift the whole seat up, or we can lower the whole seat down. Moving behind us, there also is another one which is going to adjust the backrest, so bringing that one forwards or backwards. And the next one is going to be another one, so it's a circle button, which is going to be for our lumbar support. So if we need a little bit of extra support for our lower back, we've got the capabilities to easily set that up. Adjusting the steering wheel inside of the vehicle is also going to be a manual process. So by our left knee, there's a little lever there. We're just going to crank that down, and we can slide the wheel towards us and away, so it's telescopic. We can go up and down. Once you've got that perfect position, you're just going to take that lever, crank it up, lock it back into place. Now this is a Sync3 screen that we're going to be met with when the vehicle's first turned on. And a few things to note, if you've got factory navigation, because you've got the titanium trim level of the vehicle, or if you've added to the SEL or the SE versions, this is the way that the screen will look. We'll have the navigation button with a little map summary there. If for whatever reason your vehicle does not have factory navigation, don't worry about it. You do have the ability to use either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay in order to use Waze, Google Maps, or Apple Maps directly through this middle screen. So it would look slightly different if you didn't have factory navigation, but let's dive right into it, have a little bit of fun, and figure out a little bit more about what the system is all about. So starting off there, as we can see, firstly, we've got our audio settings. So audio, we've got different sources that we can select, so we can change between AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. Now, one nice thing is that we've got the ability to either tune using the knob there, we can do a direct tune along the top, or we can tune using our voice by pressing the button along the steering wheel. If we want to tune to a radio station, so we can use direct tune in order to type it in that way. And then if you're on a station you want to save, you're just going to press and hold any of the available buttons there. And as you can see, it's now saved in. So it's really that simple. Now, adding a phone into the vehicle is a very straightforward process, and we can set up either Android or Apple devices. So, on our phone, what we're going to do is make sure that our Bluetooth is turned on. Once Bluetooth is on, you're just going to hit Add Phone.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
And we're just waiting for Ford Escape to show up. There we go. So we've got Ford Escape, so we're just going to tap that button.
Confirm that the PIN displayed on Sync matches the PIN displayed on your device.
Okay, so making sure that the PIN numbers match up. So as you can see there, they do. So we're going to hit Yes and Pair. Okay, it's wanting to know if I want to allow my contacts and favorites to sync.
Please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
All right, and I do want my contacts and favorites to sync, so I'm going to hit Allow. Now, a couple other things as well. So as you can see there, we also do have 911 Assist. Now, 911 Assist, I absolutely recommend turning that one on, and the big reason why is because if the vehicle senses a collision, it's automatically going to dial 911 for us. Automatic contact download. When we've got new contacts, do we want the vehicle to download them? Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're hooking the phone up. So we're just going to hit Finish there. And as you can see, my phone is connected. We've got my calls, contacts, and a number of other things. And we can use Siri directly through this middle screen as well. So really, really straightforward. If we jump into apps, I've got LiveX Live, which is a radio app installed there. So we can use that directly through this middle screen. If we ever want to remove a phone from the vehicle, all we're going to do is go Settings. We just go to Phone. We can view devices and look at a number of things. So we've got the ability to change my ringtone if we want to. We can turn messaging on or off. We can view connected devices. We've got my iPhone. We can either disconnect or completely remove it if we'd like to. All right, now we also do have the ability to use either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. So setting up Apple CarPlay is very straightforward. All we're going to do is take a USB cable and plug it into any of the available USB ports. So step number 1 is complete. Step number 2, what we're going to do is take that USB cable and we're just going to insert it into our phone. And watch this. Okay, so unlock in order to use. So I'm going to unlock the phone. Here we go. So Apple CarPlay lets you use your phone in a way, so we need to continue in order to be able to use, and we do have to agree to the terms and conditions there. But it'll take a second, and watch this. 3, 2, 1, we are connected there, and look at this. Allow CarPlay with Sync while the phone is locked. We do want to do that, so let's hit Allow on the phone. So as you can see there, we are fully connected. We've got my phone, we've got my messages, and a number of other things. Now, one of the nice things is that we do have maps, so we can use Apple Maps, we can use Google Maps, or we can use Waze all directly through this middle screen. So if your vehicle doesn't come with factory navigation, you've got the ability to use whatever navigation you'd like to. Even if your vehicle comes with factory nav, if you prefer to use Waze or one of the other map applications, you can easily select that as necessary. Now, one of the nice things about the Apple CarPlay side of things is that if we ever needed to adjust a few things, we can jump into our general settings, move into CarPlay, we can look at the vehicle, and now we can either forget it or we can customize. So one of the nice things is, I don't know, maybe you prefer to listen to your podcasts more. We drag that up to the top and it's dynamically updating it for us. If you prefer to use the Waze app as well, we moved that to the front. So we can remove things as necessary, we can readjust. If you remove something accidentally, it jumps to the very bottom so we can add it back in as well. And if you kind of mess things up, you don't like the order that it's in, you can just hit reset in order to bring you back to that factory default instead. So really, really that simple. And then let's say if you want to jump back to the Sync3 system instead, all we're going to do is hit that forward button, and that brings us back to that main Sync3 system. We can hot press into our phone, into the maps, etc. We can bring Apple CarPlay back up, or we can jump into our CarPlay preferences. We can remove my phone, or we can toggle CarPlay off. So if you want to be charged up, so plugged in order to charge up, we can do that, and we can just toggle CarPlay off completely. So as you can see there, I'm no longer running off of my maps on my phone. I'm now using the factory navigation instead, or we can completely remove my iPhone from the vehicle. So it's really that simple. And from there, all we have to do is just unplug, and now we are fully disconnected from the vehicle from that perspective, or we can remove my device using that method there. And that's how we set up an iPhone on that Sync3 screen. Now, setting up a Samsung device is literally the exact same process. So all we're going to do is make sure we hop into our Bluetooth. So let's unlock in order to jump in. And same thing, all we're going to do is jump into our phone settings, and we can view devices if we want to. We can also add in a Bluetooth device.
Search for your vehicle on your device and select it once it is found.
Okay, so what we're going to want to do is make sure that we're in Bluetooth. So we go to Connections, into our Bluetooth, and we've got Ford Escape showing up. So we're going to select Ford Escape.
Confirm that the PIN displayed on Sync matches the PIN displayed on your device.
Okay, and we want to make sure that the PIN numbers match up, which they do, so we're going to hit OK on the phone and yes on the screen.
For your safety, please stay alert to changing road conditions and use Sync's voice-activated features while your vehicle is in motion.
Okay, so just about done. On the phone, it's asking me, do I want to allow access to my messages? Yep, I want to do that, so I'm going to hit Allow. And because I've got multiple phones connected to the vehicle now, I can set this thing as my favorite if I want to. And same thing, automatic contact download, yes or no. We're going to hit finish there, and my phone now is fully connected there. So as we see, now one other thing did show up. Do I want to allow access to my contacts? Yeah, we're going to hit allow there as well. So we're now fully connected on the Android side of things. So as you can see, we've got my Galaxy S9. We've got the ability to use the Google Assistant directly through this middle screen. Jumping into apps, if I had some other apps installed that were accessible there, so things like the Waze app, you'd be able to use it in the middle screen as well. Don't have Waze installed on this phone, but you've got the capabilities to use it if you've got it installed. Now, setting up Android Auto is literally the exact same process. So what we're going to do is take a USB cable, and we're just going to plug it into any of the available ports, and we're plugged in. Take the opposite end of that cable, and we're just going to plug it into the phone, and watch this. Android Auto extends the Android platform. So on my phone, I do need to unlock to continue. So I'm going to unlock the phone first. Perfect. So I'm unlocked, and I'm going to hit continue on the screen, continue on my phone. And I do need to make sure that I agree to the privacy terms and conditions. So I'm going to agree to that. Okay, on my phone. So Android Auto would like to. So I just need to hit next to my phone there. It's going to take a second. And 3, 2, 1, we are connected. It's literally that simple to set up an Android device directly through this middle screen. So very straightforward. We've got, as you saw there, we've got Google Maps that we can use directly through this middle screen. If I had Waze installed, things like that, they would all work directly in this middle screen, which is incredible. We've got my phones, messages, etc. Now we also do have our notification center as well as our Google Assistant along the very bottom. Now, very similar to the Apple side of things on Android, we've got the ability to look at some different settings. So by searching Android Auto, we've either got Android Auto or some settings for Android Auto. So we've got the ability to look at our currently connected car. We can look at previously connected vehicles. We can customize our launcher. So the exact same thing that we saw on the Apple side of things. All we're going to do is we're going to drag this up to the top. Now, one thing to note is that we do need to restart Android Auto in order for that to work. So it's not dynamic the way that we saw on the Apple side of things, but we still have the ability to customize the launcher. We can select and remove different apps as necessary. We've got the ability to use certain dictation in order to bring that to life. We've got our Google Assistant and a number of other things. So we can toggle things on or off as well, which is incredible. And that's all done through the Android Auto settings inside of the Android device, which is great. Now, very similar to the Apple side of things, if we want to still be connected to charge up the phone while we're not using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, we're just going to go to that sync button there. That's going to bring us back to the home screen, which we can hot press in order to get into our maps, look at Android Auto. We can jump at our Android Auto preferences, and we can either remove the phone or we can just toggle Android Auto off temporarily. So as you can see, I'm still running off of my factory navigation now while I'm still connected. Now, one thing to note is that you do have the ability to use either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay while simultaneously using the radio, which is great. And that's how we set up Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and work on a phone inside of the 2021 Ford Escape Hybrid. So really, really straightforward in order to do that. Moving into our navigation next. So navigation, very straightforward. Searching, we've got the ability to either enter in an address, point of interest icon. We can also enter in GPS coordinates there as well. In our basic menu, we've got our screen view, traffic list, basic navigation settings, which we'll get to a little bit later on when we get into our settings there. We've got our search, history, and a number of other screens. I do recommend setting up the home and work address with a caveat. So someone actually posted something interesting, which was saying, if we enter in the home address, what happens if your car's stolen? So the thief would essentially be able to say navigate home, and they'd know where your home address is. So this one is kind of good with a grain of salt. So it's great because if you press the voice button on your steering wheel, it's automatically going to set you to your home address. And then same thing with your work. So on this button, you can press the voice command prompt. That'll pick up, and you can say navigate home, and it'll automatically put you to your home address. So whether you set that one up or not is going to be a matter of personal preference. And that's going to be the basics of the factory navigation. And let's jump into our settings now. So we've got a ton of different settings that are available. Let's kind of go line by line. Starting off, we've got our sound settings. So we've got the ability to change our treble, mid-range, bass, fade, etc. We've got some basic settings for our clock as well, so we can change between hours and minutes, AM, PM. We can switch on that military time if we'd like to. We've also got the ability to make the vehicle update based off of daylight savings time, so we can spring forward or fall back an hour. If we're going to different time zones, so we're moving to the East Coast, West Coast, etc., the vehicle's automatically going to update it based off of our GPS location when that's done. Moving back into our settings, Bluetooth, we've got the ability to toggle Bluetooth on or off. We can add devices or view our currently connected devices. Our phone, we've got the ability to view our devices and a number of other things. Actually, I'll show you how to remove a device. So what we've got, a couple different devices that are there. We can look at the device, we can disconnect it, We can also look at reconnecting to a phone. So we can either connect or we can remove. So we press connect, and a few seconds there, it's going to reconnect to the phone. And 3, 2, 1. So we are now fully connected to the device as well. All right, moving down, we've got radio settings. So radio settings, not a ton of things on this radio page, but this page is also dynamic. So what I recommend first and foremost, change your preset pages to 6 instead. And the reason why is because when we jump back home, we've now got up to 30 individual presets that we can use. And those are a mix of AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc., which is great. Now, one other thing, if we change the source out from FM or AM to Sirius, watch what happens now. This changes to a SiriusXM button, and we've got a number of different things. So we can do parental lockouts, we can do tuning to start, we can lock out certain channels, skip channels, etc. So if you're a heavy SiriusXM user, just knowing that you've got the capabilities to really adjust what's going on just by changing out that different source there. Looking at some driver assistance settings next. So firstly, we've got our cruise control. We've got the ability to go back to old school normal cruise control if we want. We've got adaptive cruise or intelligent cruise. Adaptive cruise is essentially your set it and forget it cruise control. You set it at 100. If the car in front of you slows down, yours will automatically brake. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, yours will pick right back up to that set speed again. Intelligent cruise control is all based off of this tolerance level. So if you've got a 0 kilometer tolerance, what's going to happen is if the speed drops from, let's say, 80 to 60 and you're in adaptive cruise control, it's automatically going to brake for you into whatever that posted speed limit is. So that's a really, really great feature that's available on the intelligent cruise side of things. Lane keeping system works 3 different ways. Way number 1, if you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, it's going to shake the steering wheel almost as if you're running over rumble pavement. The aid is actually going to recenter you and pull you back into your lane, and the alert and the aid will do both. So it'll give you a shake and it'll pull you back over to recenter you in your lane. The intensity is the intensity of the shake, so either a high, normal, or a low shake. Pre-collision assist works a few different ways. So if the vehicle senses the potential collision, it's actively going to brake for you. And because of the titanium package that we're in, we also do have the evasive steering. So the vehicle actually will take over the steering wheel to try to avoid a collision as well, which is incredible. We've got speed sign recognition. We've got our rear view camera as well, so we can have the enhanced parking aid, which if we shift into reverse, the enhanced parking aid is going to be this car. So whether or not that one shows up is going to be a matter of personal preference. Blind spot system lets us know if anybody's entered the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, and that's just an unobtrusive yellow light. As we start to move down, we've got our grade assist to hold us in place. Cross traffic alert. If the vehicle senses somebody's coming perpendicular from behind, it's going to let us know of a potential collision in behind us. Driver alert. If we get too many notifications because we're veering over into a lane too many times, the vehicle is going to tell us we should probably brake. And we can also turn our traction control system on or off. Basic vehicle settings, we've got quite a few, so let's dive into it. We've got our 30-minute idle. So if our vehicle's on, what'll happen is it's going to idle for 30 minutes and then turn off. Or we can have it idle constantly. So really your choice there. Rear occupant alert. Watch what happens when I turn the vehicle off. That is a really, really great system. So it essentially just lets us know to check in behind us to make sure that we didn't accidentally forget a child back there, because it does unfortunately happen. So we can toggle that on or off as well if we'd like to. Next up, we've got our easy entry exit, which what that'll do is it's going to give us the capability when we turn the vehicle off, it's actually going to lower our seat and pull it back so we can get in and out of the vehicle a little bit easier. My key is actually going to set up certain limitations for the key fob. So if you don't want, let's say you're lending a vehicle out to a child, you don't want them to go past a certain speed, you've got the capabilities to do that. So you can set up certain settings on an individual key fob if you're going to be passing it out to people. We've got our onboard serial number. We've got our remote start setup. So we've got the ability to remote start directly through our key fob as well as through our cell phone, but we can turn the system off completely. But when we remote start, what happens? Do we let the vehicle determine what the cabin temperature should be, or is it based off of our last settings? Seats and steering wheel. Are we going to let the heated seats or the heated steering wheel come on automatically based off of the vehicle determining that, or we can turn that off? And then the duration of the remote start. So 5, 10, or 15 minutes. We've got ambient light, which means that we've got some ambient light that's going to show up on the outside of the vehicle, or the inside of the vehicle, I should say. So cup holders, under our feet, door handle, etc. And we can adjust the brightness from there if we'd like to. Wipers, so we've either got our rain sensing wipers, courtesy wipe as well. So courtesy wipe, if our wipers are going, what'll happen is after it stops its cycle, it'll wait for a second or two, and then it's going to go one more time to clear away any excess liquid. Rain sensing wipers, we can turn that ones on or off as necessary. One thing to note is that with the rain sensing wipers, if you're going into a car wash, make sure you turn that one off. We've got our rear wiper on when in reverse. So if we're in reverse and we've got our front window wipers going, when we turn the car into reverse, it's automatically going to flip those rear wipers on for us. So it's really, really neat setting. Power liftgate, we've got the ability to enable or disable the switch if we'd like to, and that's going to be the switch on the outside of the vehicle. After that, we've also got our lighting there, which auto high beam. So the vehicle's got auto high beam, so if it's too dark out, it's automatically going to flip on our high beams, and then what it'll do is it'll start to dim the high beams before turning them off completely if it senses an oncoming vehicle. You do have the ability to use just the high beam stick along the steering wheel on the left-hand side there on that left stick. We can pull it in towards us if we'd like to, but I mean, the auto high beam setting is incredible. Auto lamp delay, when we go to lock the doors, what happens? Do the lamps stay on for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 120 seconds, or do they just turn off automatically? And then lastly, second last I should say, we've got our locks. So auto unlock. So if the vehicle senses the key fob, it's automatically going to unlock the doors when we press the handle. Mislock chirp. If we don't shut a door properly and we go to lock, it's going to double beep at us and let us know. And then we've got some other ones. So the big one, remote control. So remote unlock. So when we go to unlock the vehicle, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? So it is a safety setting, but that one is going to be a matter of personal preference. And then that is going to be the basics of our locks there. And moving down, we've got our keypad code. So keypad code, that was the code on the outside of the door there that I showed you earlier. So we've got a 5-digit factory number that's going to be standard, and we've got the ability to enter in a few other codes if there's a 5-digit number you think you're going to remember a little bit easier. ForwardPass Connect. So the vehicle is equipped with an onboard modem, which gives us the ability to use it as a wireless hotspot for up to 10 devices. Now you do need a data-only plan through your cell phone provider in order to be able to do that, but you've got some different settings that are available there. Next up, we've got some general settings, so we can change between English, Spanish, or French, Celsius and Fahrenheit, kilometers or liters per 100, miles per gallon, etc. The beeping that we're getting, if that drives you nuts, you've got the capability to turn it off. And we've got some automatic updates as well as our master reset. So we can either reset ForwardPass if we want to, or we can do a master reset. So if you're selling your vehicle, etc., just master reset to bring it back to your factory defaults. All right, next up, so we've got our automatic updates and Wi-Fi. So what I recommend is make sure that you're connected to a Wi-Fi network at home, and then automatic updates, make sure you turn that one on. And the big reason why is because if the vehicle senses an update that's available, it's automatically going to download it for us at home. So I love the fact that we've got that capability to do it, and I definitely recommend making sure that you set that up. So Wi-Fi network, connect at home, automatic updates, set that one up as well. 911 assist, we've already been through that. So if the vehicle senses a collision with your phone connected, it's automatically going to dial 911 for us. Certain mobile apps will work through this middle screen. We've got the ability to toggle them on or off through USB or through Bluetooth. Android Auto, we've got the capability to reconnect to any devices if we'd like to. We can completely remove the phones from the vehicle as well. So it's really straightforward in order to be able to do that. Now display, this is a bright, beautiful display, but if you find it a little bit too much, we've got the ability to turn the display off if we want to. Button press to bring it back to life, or we can go to a calming screen instead. So it just shows the time and the date, and same thing, button press to bring that back to life again. Moving back into our settings, so we've got a few other things. So we've got the ability to change the background. So we've got some background settings there. And we've also got the ability to adjust our brightness. So if things are a little bit too bright, too dark, etc., we can adjust it as we'd like. Moving down, we've got modes. So we're in the auto mode right now, which means that the vehicle is going to change between the daytime or the nighttime mode automatically. You've got the ability to select either mode as well, so it's permanently locked into that mode. So this is the way that the nighttime mode looks. I'd personally always leave it here, but that one is going to be a matter of personal preference there. All right, so back into the daytime mode now, and moving back, we've got voice control settings. So voice control settings, advanced mode. I want you to listen to this for a second. 94.9.
Tuning to FM 94.9.
So as you can see there, it's let us know that it's changing the station. So with the advanced mode on, we won't get as many notifications. 97.7. Okay. So it's changed the radio station for us, but it didn't give us a notification letting us know that was the case. Phone confirmation when we make a phone call. Do you want to call such and such person? Yes or no? And then our voice command list. So when we press the voice button, does this list show up? Yes or no? So that one is a matter of preference. Moving back, we've got a few other screens now. So last one, we've got our valet mode as well as our navigation. So valet mode, what happens is if we enter a 4-digit number, it's going to lock the screen out. So we wouldn't be able to use anything until we re-enter that 4-digit number. Navigation, very straightforward. So we've got a number of different options there. So we've got our map preferences. We can look at our 3D model, breadcrumbs, point of interest, or incident icons. The breadcrumbs is an interesting one because on our navigation, as we start driving, it's actually going to drop little crumbs. Like think Hansel and Gretel. So you're getting little breadcrumbs as you go, letting you know of the routes that you've taken, which is pretty neat. Back into our navigation, we've got route preferences. Do we want the fastest, shortest, or the most eco-friendly route? Do we want to avoid certain things as well, like avoid freeways, toll roads, tunnels, etc. And whatever ones we select there dynamically are going to update the map as well, so it's going to avoid certain things if we don't want to take certain parts of the route. Navigation preferences is going to be last, so what happens when we've got an upcoming turn? Is it going to be a voice letting us know turning in 200 meters? With a tone, is it going to just be the voice or just the tone? That one is going to be a matter of personal preference. And that's going to be the basics of the setting on the Sync3 screen. All right, now as we start to move down the screen, so a few things to point out. We've got our volume rocker. Now, great song, but one thing to note is that this is the titanium version of the vehicle. So the titanium version has the upgraded Bang & Olufsen sound system. We've got a hot button press to get into our audio settings, so treble, mid-range, bass, change songs or radio stations, play or pause. We can turn our display to the calm setting, turn it off completely, or we can bring it back to life again. We've got the ability to tune using the rocker there. As we start to move down, we've got our four-way blinkers, dual zone climate control. We've got our climate control settings, so either go to our windshield face or to our feet. And we've also got our heated seats as well as our heated steering wheel. And then we've also got our fan control. So how fast is that fan going? Moving down a bit, as you can see there, we also do have a few USB ports, so our USB and our USB-C, as well as a traditional cigarette lighter adapter. Moving down a tiny little bit, as you can see there, we also do have our selector switch for our gear, so we can go between park, reverse, neutral, drive, or that low gear. We've got our parking brake, so we can turn that parking brake on or off. We've got our auto hold setting as well. Now on top of that, we've got a few different drive modes. So looking at the drive modes there as we go, so let's get rid of that message, and we can jump between either our normal, eco, sport, slippery, sand or snow assist, and then back to our normal again. So different modes are going to go do different things to the vehicle. We've got our reverse sensing system, so we can actually turn that beeping that we get as we start to back up. And the last one is going to be for our park assist. And it can help us out with parallel park out, parallel park in, or perpendicular park, which is great. Because let's say if you're not really sold on using parking or parallel parking yourself, the vehicle can help out. And then one of the nice things is that we've got the ability to lift that stick up and go left or right with it to look on the left or the right hand side for either parallel or perpendicular parking. Let's actually look to see how that park assist system works. Now, using park assist inside of the vehicle is a very straightforward process. So as we start to move down the console there, as you can see, we've got this park button. We're just going to press that P button, and when we do, watch what happens to the screen. So as you can see there, we do have our park assist showing up by pressing that button, so it can help out with either parallel parking, parallel park out, or it can help us with perpendicular parking. So we've got the ability to press the left turning stick if we want to look on the left side, or by default, it's going to look on the right side. So all we're going to do is literally follow the directions of what's going on. So it wants us to drive forward. Just follow the directions on the screen. Okay, so it wants us to stop, and then from there, what we have to do is shift into neutral. So on the actual shifter, all we're going to do is move into neutral, and then what it wants us to do is release the brake, and all we're going to do then is hold that P button. So while our foot's off the brake, so foot off the brake completely, we're just going to press and hold that P button there, and watch what happens. Smart system, it saw the obstacle there. And it's got a forward sensing system as well. And then just along the very top left-hand side there, so as you can see, there is a little countdown timer, and that's going to let us know what stage it's at in the reverse parking process. Look at this. Love it. Look at this wheel. Literally doing everything for us. Finished. That simple. Look at this. It really is that simple. I love the park assist feature. So really, really great. Now moving back down there, so other thing to point out, as you can see there, we've got a little console with nothing in the inside there, just a little bit of storage space. We've got a little pen holder along the side as well as along the top. Next up, let's take a peek at the steering wheel and the instrument cluster. Now, let's actually kind of speak to the elephant in the room and the fact that this thing's got a beautiful 12.3-inch fully digital instrument cluster. Thing looks absolutely incredible. Now, it is going to be standard in the titanium version of the vehicle, but when you're in the SEL, it is also available as an option. So really, really looks sharp. We've got our speedometer along the left. We've got what's going on with our power along the right-hand side, which is really, really neat. Now, actually, as we actually look at the steering wheel itself, now this one does have the Ford Copilot 360 Plus package because we're in the titanium, which means that we've got adaptive cruise control, and we also do have factory navigation. So we've got the ability to use navigation directly through that middle screen, which is great. Now, even if you don't want to use factory navigation, you do have the ability to use either Android Auto or Apple CarPlay inside of this thing, which means that we can use Apple Maps, Google Maps, or Waze directly in that middle screen. Now, on the adaptive cruise control side of things, the button along the very top is going to let us toggle adaptive cruise control on or off. The one on the top left-hand side there, that's going to be our distance indicator. So that's going to let us know how close or how far away we are going to be from the vehicle that's in front of us. One of the nice things about the adaptive cruise control system is that you'd be able to set it at whatever speed you'd like to, and then if the vehicle senses an oncoming or another vehicle that's in front of you that's going slower, it's automatically going to slow you down as well, which is incredible. If they pick up speed or get out of the way, it'll pick you right back up to your set speed again, which is great. This one is going to be our lane centering system. So the lane centering system actually works 3 different ways. Now, we can toggle the lane keeping system on or off on that left-hand turning stick, but we've got the ability to turn that lane centering system on or off as necessary. So the system itself works 3 ways, as I mentioned. First way, if you start to veer over into a lane without signaling, it'll shake the steering wheel a bit, almost as if we're running over rumble pavement. Way number two is it's actually going to recenter us and pull us back into our lane. Way number 3 is it'll give us a shake and it'll recenter us automatically. We can cancel out or we can turn the system off from there. We've also got the ability to either increase or decrease our volume, and we can also mute the audio as necessary. Moving along the right-hand side, these first ones are going to be for the actual instrument cluster, so that middle screen there. So we can move up and down between available screens. We can pull up the menu button in order to select different screens. So if we want calming screen, fuel economy, or different options there, we can select whatever shows up. Audio setting, we can change between AM, FM, SiriusXM. If my phone was connected, it would also show up there. And on top of that, if we had a USB stick with MP3s, that would also show up there as an available audio source. Navigation, we do have the ability to look at our home address, previously saved addresses, destinations, nearby, etc. And we've got my phone, so no phone connected, but we could go into our missed calls, previous calls, etc. in order to make phone calls directly through that middle screen. Moving down a bit, we've got the ability to either change songs or radio stations. We can hang up on a phone call, we can answer a phone call, and we've also got our voice command button. So that voice command button is going to do a couple things. So it's going to give us the ability to either change radio stations, we can make phone calls, or we can navigate by using our voice. Now, one of the nice things, as I mentioned, we do have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay support, which means that if we press that button, it's also going to give us the ability to use either Siri or a Google Assistant as well, which is incredible. Looking at our turning stick. So along the left-hand turning stick there, we've got a little button. We can press that one. That's going to be our lane keeping system. So we know the actual system's turned on when we see those bowling lanes show up there. Now the system might be turned on, but it doesn't actually activate until we hit about 60 kilometers an hour. And what's going to happen is it's going to go green, letting us know that the system's activated. If we start to veer over into a lane or getting a little bit close to the edge, whatever side we're close to is going to go yellow or red. When it hits red, that's when it's going to shake the steering wheel or recenter us and pull us back into our lane. Along the right-hand stick, as you can see there, we've got the ability to adjust how sensitive our windshield wipers are to the rain hitting it. We've got the ability to turn our rear wipers on. We can pull in towards us for that front windshield wiper fluid, or we've got the ability to push away in order to turn on the rear window wiper fluid. Well, folks, that was a look at the 2021 Ford Escape Hybrid Titanium. What did you think? I personally love the look of this, the true leather, etc. It just brings another element to the vehicle. But having said that, it is nice that we can go either the SE or the SEL trim level to get into the hybrid now. So you've got a ton of gas savings that are available by looking at the hybrid as an option. If you have any questions or comments, drop down into the comment section below and let me know. And if you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up, think about subscribing or sharing it with your social network. And until I see you next time, make sure you stay safe.